Hi, this is Chef Dave Bishop and Chef to You. Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make turkey gravy, a more traditional turkey gravy. This is turkey gravy 2, because I already did a video of turkey gravy 1. The other style was a southern style with eggs and giblets in it and made with a cornstarch. This is going to be using a roux and your natural drippings from your turkey. Really easy recipe. A turkey dinner ain't finished unless you have a good gravy. So let's take a look at our ingredients. First we'll look at our broth and the fat we have, and then we're going to look at our other ingredients. Cooked my turkey off earlier. These are the drippings that came off the pan. This is the celery and onions that I had in the cavity and in the pan. I'm going to set that aside. As you can see, I got about a ½ inch of fat here. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of this fat in the roux. Most of the time when you use the natural fat off a piece of meat, it's not as strong as using butter or shortening in your roux. I like to use a little bit of fat because it gives me flavor, but you can use just butter if you don't want to use any of the fat. The rest of the fat I'm going to strain off and put it over here out of the way. You want 4 cups or 1 quart of turkey stock. If you don't get it naturally off your turkey, then you want to replace the difference with a chicken stock to make up the 4 you need. Taking the fat off the broth, it leaves me with 1 quart or 4 cups of broth. Over here I got a 1/4 cup of flour, 3 tablespoons of butter, and I've already got the 2 tablespoons of fat in here. We're going to move over to the stove and start the roux. Before we head that way, this meat right here you see, this is the meat off the neck bone. This is an option. I like to build flavors, and there's awesome flavor on here. So I'm going to add the gravy at the end. I'm going to show you with it and without it. That's just an option if you want to do that. It's just an awesome flavor to add that little bit of extra meat to it. Let's head to the stove top and start this roux. Our butter's melted. You hear that little popping because there might be a little bit of stock left in that fat that I put in there. We're going to add our 1/4 cup of flour. Remember, 50-50 on your flour and your fat when making a roux. We want to stir this around. We want to make this a blonde roux. Blonde roux, it's got a little bit of color to it, but it's not brown. It's going to get the impurity flavor out of the flour. We're going to stir this around for about 2 or 3 minutes to get that flavor. And once we get it done, we're going to actually remove it back into this glass dish. I've taken the majority of my roux out. I'm going to pour a little bit of stock in here and stir up that little bit of roux that's in there and let it tighten up with that little bit of stock. I'm going to add the rest of my stock and bring this to a boil. Brought my stock to a boil, and I've just reduced it so it's at a low boil. We're going to add a little bit of roux at a time, stir until it's incorporated, and add a little bit more. We don't want any lumps in our gravy. I got all my roux in, nice smooth texture to the gravy. We're going to let this simmer about 4 or 5 minutes, stirring occasionally until we get the thickness we desire. Let's look at our gravy. I've reduced it down. See that texture right there? If you want it thicker, you can go a little bit longer. That's a nice texture to me. We just put this in the dish, put it on the table, ready to go. You can make this ½ an hour ahead of time. Put a tight fitting lid on it, set it to the side, or put it in your serving dish and set it aside. Keep it warm so you don't have to do this at the last minute. As I was talking to you earlier, I like to put the chicken necks in it. It's got some real good rich meat flavor in it. That's just going to enhance it even more. So I'm going to go ahead and add that at this time so we get that meat hot in there. And we'll go ahead and plate this up. We got our gravy finished here. It's got the giblets in. It looks real good. Let me just mention a couple things to you. Roux gives a much richer flavor than just flour and water. So that's why I make a roux. The reason we added the roux into the stock instead of stock into the roux, because if you had too much stock, then it's going to be too watery and you have to cook it down too far, or vice versa, and it's too thick. Now what am I going to do to thin it out? So it's always better to add your roux to your stock if you can. It will hold refrigerated 2 or 3 days. You can freeze it. It's not a good quality, but yes, you can freeze it. Wonderful dish. You're going to really enjoy this. You see I put a plate together, turkey and mashed potatoes, some good cornbread dressing. This really going to enhance the meal. This is Chef Dave Bishop, cooking and teaching. Until next time, may God bless.